All right, I want you to imagine for just a second that you finally get your hands on a working time machine. You punch in those coordinates, you brace yourself, and you step out, totally expecting to land in this golden age of heroes, pristine architecture, and, elegant historical romance. But, bam, the reality hits you like an absolute brick wall. Welcome to This Explainer. Today, we're putting your survival skills to the ultimate test. We're going to strip away all that Hollywood glamour and look at what it actually felt like to live, breathe, and, well, just try not to die in three totally distinct historical eras. Let's get into the time traveler's survival test, where we'll be ranking history's most dangerous daily lives. Okay, let's dive into this. We all absolutely love to romanticize the past, right? Through filtered movies and edited textbooks, we picture these epic battles, spotless marble statues, and sweeping gowns. But the reality of stepping back into history, it's basically a desperate, minute-by-minute struggle just to keep your head on your shoulders and your stomach in check. Real history greets you with narrow alleyways where the air is literally so thick with the smell of rotting fish and human waste that you'd instantly start gagging. I mean, the very first thing that would hit you isn't the fashion, it's this absolutely terrifying sensory overload. So level 1, Ancient Rome, 44 AD. Welcome to the sensory nightmare. Dropping into a pre-modern city of this massive scale wouldn't just be a culture shock. It would genuinely feel like a physical assault on your modern nervous system. It completely shatters the myth of the pristine ancient world. First off, there is absolutely no white marble city, none. That's just a trick of time wearing away the paint over 2 millennia. Back then, Rome was a chaotic, visually loud nightmare of bright, glaring colors. Every single wall was covered in aggressive, political, and, quite frankly, deeply rude graffiti. And the smell? Yeah, it wasn't exactly fresh Mediterranean air. The entire city smelled exactly like a river that a million people had been using as a public toilet. Because, well, that's exactly what it was. And amidst all of this chaos, you still gotta eat, right? Now, most Romans didn't actually have kitchens, so they lived on street food. Think basic grain porridge that honestly tastes like oatmeal trying its absolute best. But to spice things up, they used something called garum. It's a fermented fish sauce made by, and I really want you to hear this, leaving fish guts out in the blazing hot sun for weeks. Weeks. It sounds completely horrifying to our modern sensibilities, I know. But the real tragedy? It was actually surprisingly tasty. You see, survival back then wasn't just about dodging a gladiator match. It was about navigating something as simple as the public baths. Just everyday stuff. Step 1. You leave your clothes in this unlocked wall niche and literally just pray thieves don't snatch your only tunic while you're looking the other way. Step 2. You endure a freezing, and I mean freezing, cold plunge pool. And then step 3, you desperately try to thaw out in an extremely hot, steam-filled room. Now, this room was brilliantly powered by a massive furnace pushing hot air right through channels in the floor. So yes, the Romans totally invented underfloor heating, but getting to enjoy it meant you had to survive the thieves and the deep freeze first. Okay, so we've established that the physical environment of the ancient world was just a chaotic assault on the senses. But what happens when we travel forward in time, and the danger shifts from the filthy streets to the throne room itself? Which brings us to level 2, Tudor London, 1536. Survive the king. So jumping into the 1500s, the physical environment is still incredibly dangerous, but the social environment? Man, it has become downright deadly. Just existing meant navigating an absolute minefield of filth and hazards. You're walking down the street, constantly dodging these top-heavy, leaning buildings that literally look like they're holding each other up for dear life. You're navigating deafeningly loud markets filled with mud, sweat, and, I'm not kidding, the constant threat of a stray pig taking you out right at the knees. And when you finally get to rest, it's on a wildly itchy straw bed made of the exact same stuff they feed the horses. Hanging over all of this daily grind is a fragile, shared sense of sheer survival, because a fast-acting disease could easily finish you off in a single week. And hey, if you think being a kid offered any sort of protection, definitely think again. Childhood, at least the way we understand it today, simply did not exist. Bam, by age 10, it was over. You immediately started a full-time apprenticeship. Your likely future? Spending the next 50 years doing the exact same brutal, back-breaking manual labor in the exact same workshop until the day you died. There was basically no escaping the grind. So the crucial point is, in 1536, you're living under the absolute rule of King Henry VIII. He was a monarch who used pure fear as a primary tool of governance. Public executions weren't just punishments. They were heavily attended public entertainment. The psychological pressure of living in this era is just staggering to think about. Executions were so incredibly routine that Londoners would casually walk across London Bridge, directly under severed heads on spikes, just to go buy their daily bread, without even batting an eye. To really summarize the Tudor experience, it was an era of ultimate, suffocating paranoia. Saying the wrong thing to the wrong person on a totally random Tuesday could literally cost you your life at the Tower of London. I mean, a single slip of the tongue over some watered-down tavern ale could be your absolute end. So, we've seen the sensory assault of Rome, and we've felt the paranoid terror of Tudor London, but I've got to ask you something. What is the most dangerous kind of time travel? Is it the one with obvious, in-your-face threats? Or is it a scenario where the danger isn't obvious at all? That brings us to level 3, the Titanic, 1912, the illusion of safety. Believe it or not, the most dangerous era is actually the one that looks the most modern to us. It's where luxury totally masks an unavoidable, fast-approaching death. When you step onto a massive ocean liner like the Titanic, everything tricks your brain into complacency. It's the smell of fresh paint. It's the bright electric lighting lining these proper carpeted corridors. It creates this incredibly powerful, yet totally false sense of security. It makes you feel like the modern world has finally, once and for all, conquered nature. And honestly, that illusion is exactly what makes it so deadly. And this brilliantly illustrates the strict, absolute social reality of 1912. Up in first class, passengers are enjoying 11-course dinners, walking on these thick, plush carpets, and relaxing in dark mahogany smoking rooms. Meanwhile, down in third class, where, by the way, a ticket still costs the equivalent of $500 today, you are eating warm water and rice soup, and you're sleeping in rock-firm bunk beds that weren't even designed to fit the height of a modern person. But here's the thing. Class here wasn't just about money. When the world started to end, class strictly dictated who actually got a seat on a lifeboat. The true horror of April 14th isn't just the freezing water, as awful as that is. It's the agonizing slow-motion realization of doom. Just imagine witnessing people standing around in their dressing gowns, genuinely, truly believing they're completely safe right up until the exact moment they aren't. The mental toll of watching people actively refuse to get into lifeboats because they falsely think standing on a sinking deck is a better precaution than trusting the cold, dark ocean. It is just unimaginable. I want to let this staggering statistic sink in for a second. 65 versus 28. That's the capacity of a single lifeboat versus the actual number of people who got in them early on. 28 people in a boat made for 65. This right here is the deadly, tragic cost of hubris. It's the ultimate price of blind trust in a ship that everyone deemed unsinkable. So what does this all mean? What is the ultimate takeaway from our survival test? Well, survival in the past isn't just about your physical health. It isn't just about dodging stray pigs in the street or navigating freezing public baths. And it's not even just about your social status or how much money you had. The true test of time travel is bearing the immense, heavy mental toll of witnessing a world that is so much more brutal, unpredictable, and incredibly fragile than the one we left behind. Which leaves us with one final, pretty provocative question. Could your modern mind truly survive the unfiltered realities of the past? Really think about it. If you enjoyed this explainer and you want to dive deeper into these fascinating, gritty realities, make sure to hit that subscribe button. Come join our community as we continue to explore the raw, unfiltered parts of the past that the history textbooks are just too afraid to show you. See you next time.